Today we have an update on the Johnny Somali trial that's going to happen tomorrow and his deepfake settlement, which is now in danger on the eve of his trial. Of course, this is the legal mindset where we teach you to be your own judge, and I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney over here in Asia, and this is a fast facts video, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. So let's get right into the situation with Somali, his trial, where it's at. Before we get into that tomorrow, of course, Ramzi Khalid Ismail is his name, so we'll be using Ramzi interchangeably throughout this document, as he doesn't like that. So the background is the last trial was on October 29th. It's been quite a while since his last trial. Once again, in Korea, the process is the punishment. He is not in jail pending trial. He's out. He's living, still staying with Hank in his apartment. And during that October trial, as a refresher, there were two witnesses, Hank and Yungman. Those were two people involved in the deepfakes involving Johnny Somali, where Johnny Somali had made a deepfake of Korean streamer Yungman, who's a little bit of a character himself. He actually has criminal charges for throwing a brick through a courthouse window, but there had been a deep fake of him and Hank together, let's say, in what is a sexually explicit, poses. They're partly naked, they're making out, right? So that was shown to his audience, and that was also shown to Yungman's audience. So they were both charged with deepfake charge over this incident that happened last year. Now, tomorrow, Bong Bong is scheduled to attend tomorrow. We have some updates on her attending because she was up in the air, whether or not she's going to go or not go, or she's going to not show up. But we now have confirmation, which I'm going to show you guys, that she is indeed coming tomorrow. And it looks like she's got a good mindset for going to trial. Now, if she didn't show up, theoretically, the trial will be delayed until she testifies. So technically, if she didn't show up tomorrow, if she got sick, if she was in an accident, God forbid, or something happened, she, just couldn't attend, it would be delayed until she testifies. They are going to wait until she testifies. So tomorrow, it's very possible. In fact, I'm going to say the standard is the trial will be closed. When there's a victim testimony like this, they typically close the courtroom. And unless the victim goes out of their way to say, I want this open, it's going to be closed. So although Bong Bong has the option to open the courtroom, the chances are it's going to be closed because she may not even know that she has that option to open the courtroom, and she may not want to open that courtroom. So we're going to presume that it's going to be closed tomorrow. So when I do my live coverage, I may have it a little delayed just because I presume it's closed. But there's an update on the settlement with Yungman. Now, as some background here, Yungman and Somali came together and they had a settlement 4 months ago. So 4 months ago, Yungman and Ramzi had an unofficial agreement to settle the deepfake charges. However, both of the cases have continued uninterrupted with no changes to either case. So we're now updating our chart, which I'll show you, where we had removed one of the deepfake claims because we thought this settlement was going to go through. We thought this settlement was going to be done. It was going to be, these charges were going to be dropped. But now we're looking at the files. We're looking at the court case, on the eve of this, and neither one, both in Yungman's case and Somali, neither one has been dropped. So that says a lot. And I think that this is getting them worried because the prosecutors at the end of the day have the discretion to keep or drop charges. It's not on the parties. The parties can say, we want to drop this, and that can influence the prosecutor. But the prosecutor can say, nope, actually, we think this is bad. We think this should be discouraged, and we want to keep this there, particularly if they don't like Somali. So this is an indication that the prosecutors probably are not big fans of Somali, and maybe not big fans of Yungman either, right? For what he did, throwing the brick through the window in combination with the deepfakes. So he's got a lot of things. Both of these characters, Yungman and Ramzi, they're perhaps not very well liked by the prosecutors, which is why they're keeping those charges on, which is good because it increases the potential time that we can see him in jail, which, once again, to be very clear, because a lot of other channels are doing clickbait right now, the maximum is 12 years and 6 months. That is the maximum amount that they are allowable under the law, right? They cannot go beyond that. It's not 31 years. It's not 40 years. It's not 50. It's not life in prison. It is 12 years and 6 months. If you see any other information, it's misinformation. On February 3rd of this month, Hank actually submitted a request for clarification of the scope of the agreement. So Hank went out and submitted this document. That means conclusively that Ramzi is worried about the settlement, that the settlement may not go through. Because once again, 4 months ago, legal experts, not just me, but Korean lawyers, Korean people I spoke to that know the legal process, they thought the charges would be dropped within 2 weeks. And that's standard. That's completely standard in the criminal process in Korea. The fact is, on January 26th, there were closing arguments held in Yungman's case, and the deepfake charge was still in place. So this other case is there. They've already had closing arguments, and the deepfakes are still there. And his sentencing is set for March 9th, 2026. That's also very odd. It's 42 days after closing argument, which is highly unusual because typically they only do these things 2 weeks after. So what they might be waiting for is tomorrow's case. So a lot of this may hinge on what is said tomorrow in court and what goes down tomorrow in court as to what they do with these deepfake charges. I think if they feel like the bong bong charges are strong enough, maybe they do drop that. If the bong bong ones are weak, maybe they keep those around. We'll see. It may be because the prosecutor really wants to hit Johnny with at least one deepfake charge. So they've got two to pick from here, and they want to hit him with that. So because of that, we're going back to our chart. We've removed the strike through. There was a strike through on Yungman. We've removed that. We've now got that back into play. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 criminal counts here against Johnny Somali, which he's only defending 2 on not guilty. The rest he's pled guilty for, right? The rest he's pled guilty for. And once again, the maximum is 12 years. Right. And then you've got some time for the Minor Offenses Act. So you're not going to get more than that, more than 12 years and maybe 2 months or so. Right. You're not going to get more than that. 12 years is the maximum. So the punishment, that's still the total, and each count will simply increase the minimum. I think that Somali is still likely to get jail time, and my estimate is still between 1 to 7 years. That's still where I'm at in terms of my general estimate. If they aggravate the factors, it could go up to 10, and if they hit him with both deepfake charges, it could be more. That's very possible, but I think 1 to 7 is the reasonable range, the reasonable guess at this time. So Ramsey's lawyer previously made a lot of bad arguments, and even Johnny today was making some bad arguments about what they're going to do with Bong Bong.
I'm going to trial because this is ridiculous. Why don't we talk about how she went on live stream and shared the same thing? Is Korea a racist country? Is Korea a sexist country? Because best believe me, that's going to be brought up. And we have the evidence of her showing that.
So what he's trying to say is, hey, I'm going to try to make this into, if you don't charge Bong Bong, this is going to be very, very bad look for Korea because it's going to look like they're racist or they're sexist, etc. But guess what? That's not going to fly, right? The court has discretion on who to charge. And in this case, when they look at Bong Bong as the victim and they look at Bong Bong as a more sympathetic victim than, let's say, Yungman, right? They may choose not to go forward with that. And they may see Ramsey and his lack of remorse and say, nope, we're not going to go for that. And these other bad arguments that they've been throwing in there are not going to help either. They argued that Johnny couldn't be guilty for a deepfake because there was no intent and it wasn't sexual, which is a horrible argument because making out, kissing, etc. is inherently sexual. And there's an intent because the intent is he published it. That's all that's required under the statute in Korea, according to legal experts I've spoken to. It's not, you don't need to have malicious intent or evil intent. You publish this thing online, that is enough. Johnny asked for an expedited trial. The judge had denied that back in October and said that some foreign defendants can be up there for 6 years. So he's got very little tolerance for Johnny Somali's complaining. And also they're trying to argue the Lotte World charge even after the guilty plea. So they've already pled guilty to Lotte World and the obstruction of business there, but they're still trying to argue that. So I would expect that that is an argument they might try to bring up yet again tomorrow at the case. Now, let's compare the difference between Yungman and Somali. Yungman, who is Korean, has submitted 7 apologies in his case. And remember, he's still got that same deepfake charge. 7 apologies. Somali has not submitted a single apology letter. He has not apologized at all so far. That is a big deal in the Korean court system, and that is massive for the adjudication of this case. And the fact that his deepfake charge has not been dropped really gives us a chance that they could be hit with both of them. Now, Bong Bong's performance on the stand is going to be critical, that she hangs in there and she tells the truth. But we now have some information saying that she's going to come. So this is from her Discord, where she says, wow, it's tomorrow, right? She said this today, yesterday. Johnny Somali court, Bongi, you decide it's your life. Johnny needs to suffer harsh consequences. And then she goes, I will just say the truth and do it for Korea. So she's got that in there. And it seems like she's in the frame of mind where she's going to have a positive outlook on this. She's going to tell the truth. That's all she can. That's all she has to do. She will be cross-examined by Johnny's lawyer. Now we'll try to get the best of what happened, through the ways that we can try to get the information that happened. But like I said, it may be a closed court case where we may not be able to get in tomorrow. So we'll do the best to get the updates to you as they come out. It's going to happen at 3:40 p.m. in Korean Standard Time. So we'll probably have our coverage coming out a little bit after that. So I want to know what you guys think and what you think about Johnny Somali, the case, and everything else that's going down in Korea. And I'll catch you on the next.